right now. All right. Now we'll get started here soon. Thank you all for coming. It's a great turnout. Lots of registrants for tonight's session. Yeah, just another few seconds, letting a few more people in. Fantastic.
I got a prompt for the chat. So yeah, I'd love to see everyone's location, but why don't we also throw in one thing that you hate the most about the housing situation in Canada right now?
Great idea. And then also one thing you like the best.
Micro home, obviously.
There you go. You could let us know at the end of this cool session. Right on. Sandon in the house. Nelson, Salt Spring. Not affordable. What is affordable? Let's discuss. Expensive housing. Right on. We got Kelowna, North Vancouver, Canmore, Penticton. Fantastic round here. Nelson.
Nelson here. Yeah, I don't know if I can be heard. My mic wasn't working.
No worries.
Yep.
Good to see you.
I don't know if you can see me either. If you can see me, awesome.
Yeah, can see you.
Oh, perfect.
That's
wonderful.
Fantastic. Thanks. Yeah, we got Cooper Creek in the house. Revelstoke, Trace, Sylvan Lake, Alberta, welcome. Yeah, we love to kind of tap into both, mostly Alberta and BC. We're connected here via the Kootenays. Great to have everybody here. So yeah, we'll just get started here. Keep on feeding into the chat and connecting with each other, posting cool links, whatever you want. Awesome. Hey everybody, my name is Jean-Marc Laflamme and I'll be your host today. I live in the Kootenay Mountain region of BC on the west coast of Canada in the traditional territories of the Sinaiaks, whom we're co-creating our future villages with. So we found out where in the world are you? And we keep on here north of Caslow. Awesome, all sorts of really great places that we're chiming in from. A little bit about me. I work for a company called GeoShip, and we manufacture all natural climate resilient homes. I'll talk a little bit about it today. I also co-create regenerative villages, allowing us to move towards a better way to live. Today, I'm focused on crushing the costs of living so we can radically improve life and solve grand challenges. I'm excited to be with you today. I know you have lots of questions, so we'll get to some of them today in a chunk of time for QA after our presentation. But don't worry, you'll be able to meet us one-to-one anytime and chat personally. So here's our agenda for today, which you've likely reviewed a little bit already. Please feel free to chime in with questions on chat, like I said, but please be considerate to everyone's time. And I'd like to give some preference to the people who are honestly interested in becoming a resident and investing in this project. There's a lot of people that are interested in the topic of co-ownership, and we'll do some broad events around co-ownership in the future. But at this moment, we're really focused on Cooper Creek Village. So please, yeah, take a look and we'll chat further. So why are we doing this? Understanding the co-ownership model is key to fully participating and benefiting from our unique, but hopefully soon ubiquitous living arrangement. We value feedback from our community members on housing and living options. Your input really helps us tailor our offering to better meet the needs and preferences of residents, ensuring a comfortable and fulfilling living experience for all. So in 2024, landshare, as we call it, is more critical than ever with the affordability crisis, which you're all saying is a major issue. Environmental disasters, a desire for community connection being paramount, our model offers a viable solution to address these pressing issues. We are armed with a deep understanding of community development. Residents can actively participate in shaping this direction. By applying this knowledge into action, we collectively build a more resilient, regenerative, and inclusive living environment. So what else do you want today? Let us know in the chat if you're looking for something specific. At this moment for Cooper Creek, We are offering residents the opportunity to live and work closely with nature, fostering a deep sense of connection and appreciation for the natural world. Engaging with our local and global networks enable us to share knowledge, resources, and best practices for sustainable living. Families can thrive within our community, with parents coming together to raise children, nurturing and supportive environment. By connecting with other parents, kids can grow up in wild and healthy, enjoying the benefits of communal support and shared experiences. With hydro and solar power systems in place, residents could enjoy energy and food security. Residents also have the opportunity to grow the majority of their own food, cultivating a diverse range of crops in our community gardens and greenhouses. Surplus produce can be shared locally, fostering connections and resilience within our broader community. So our community offers access to a variety of shared resources, including co-working spaces, community centers, wood shops, greenhouses, and wellness facilities like saunas and cold plunges. These are all dreams, of course, that a lot of people have. But these amenities are hopefully going to enhance the quality of life and promote collaboration and creativity among residents. We encourage community co-investment in other businesses. This could happen just like any other community. This is just like a normal community. We get together, we bump into each other, we create new businesses. This is the wonderful world of connection. So our community celebrates diversity and fosters a vibrant cultural and social scene. Of course, enjoying great music and intergenerational potlucks, fostering connection and creating memorable experience for all. So that's our dream community in a nutshell. And I'm sure it aligns with a lot of you as we've heard in the past. So just one quick note on regeneration, if you haven't heard the term before, it gets tossed around a bit. Regenerative living aims to restore and rejuvenate the health of our ecosystems, communities, and individual well-being, and transcends this kind of abuse or misuse word called sustainability, focusing on practices that actively enhance environmental quality, promotes biodiversity, and supports the recovery of natural systems. By embracing principles of circular economy, regenerative agriculture, green building, and social equity, regenerative living seeks to create a harmonious balance where human activities not only minimize harm, but actively contribute positively to the Earth's vitality. So that's kind of regeneration in a nutshell. There's a lot more deeper to exploration you can find. I encourage you to dig deep online or talk to me about it afterwards. But we're trying to keep it simple here. Our goal is to eventually make this the easiest for people, planet, and profit. But since it may be new to all of us, it could seem more complex. Our 5-step process includes matchmaking groups to landowners, negotiating a co-ownership agreement, forming a corporation, becoming shareholders just like a regular business, buy land, raise capital for the infrastructure, plug and play and regenerate. It should be that simple. So we're going to just talk a little bit about the experience from CoBC. CoBC is a great organization that I came across about 6 months ago. For 10 years, they've been doing this kind of a living arrangement. And it wasn't until recently where I found a lot of experts into the field. And Noam Dolgan is one of those experts. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it tonight, but I do have a great video of him. And he's going to explain co-ownership and what it's done recently in British Columbia. He's actually a BC-based realtor who helps clients navigate the tough housing market, especially through the co-ownership and other out-of-the-box thinking. So he's a progressive realtor. Before entering real estate, Noam worked for more than 15 years in community development, environmental education, and consulting, and uses his expertise to assist clients in making social, economical, and environmental sustainability a central component to their housing choices. So here's just Noam gonna talk a little bit about co-ownership. Here we go.
Hello, I'm Noam Dolgan with Coho BC, the Collaborative Homeownership Initiative. Here to talk a little bit about what draws people into co-ownership as a pathway into the housing market. People come to co-ownership for a variety of reasons. People come because it allows you to build community and mutual support systems, know your neighbors before you buy, and generally live in a more positive and supportive environment. People come for affordability, lowering the entry point to ownership and the ongoing costs of property ownership. People come because they can get more. They can get more space, they can get more community, they get access to shared resources and supplies. They can live in otherwise unavailable locations, such as rural lands or some of our single-family neighborhoods, or find housing otherwise not available, like tiny homes and laneway houses. People also can seek co-ownership to find higher quality and unique and alternative forms of housing. People are able to create financial synergy. When people who can't afford housing on their own come together, they're able to qualify for much more. And people come because it's a triple bottom line sustainable choice. Co-ownership allows for a socially, financially, and environmentally sustainable housing choice, which is better for themselves, their community, and the planet. Co-ownership is becoming fairly popular, more popular than you might think. Some of the recent surveys are showing that more than 50% of Canadians are open to co-ownership. 34% of Canadians 55 plus, going up to 69% of Canadians 18 to 34. This is clearly a response to the ever increasing price of home ownership and unaffordability of access, but also a response to the need for people to build better, more supportive housing communities and the problem with social isolation that we're seeing in society today. When you get into co-ownership, it's important to be prepared to build a strong legal structure that protects everyone's interest and defines the exact structure under which you own your share of the property. To build a strong community structure. What are the guiding principles of your community? How will decisions be made? How will problems be mediated? To create a financial vision to ensure that affordability pathway for everybody involved. Of course, to find the right partners, people you can communicate with, that you want as your neighbors, that you feel like will support you and you can support them. And of course, to find the right property that is suited for your needs and has the zoning or has the buildings that are set and ideal for co-ownership. This is why Coho BC exists, our collection of experienced professional lawyers, mediators, financiers, matchmakers, and realtors can help you through every step of the way, setting you and your community up for success. You can find more information on co-ownership at www.cohobc.com, or you can be in touch with us to talk about your situation, cohobc@gmail.com. Thank you.
Right on. Thank you so much, Noom. That's fantastic. It's again great to have Noam Dolgan and his team involved with his experience in doing hundreds of co-ownership agreements. I've met the lawyers that we needed to kind of make this happen. Before them, I was just winging it with lawyers, accountants, and random business organizations. But now we're definitely becoming more pro with this level of organization. So yeah, thanks to Noam and his team, and look forward to more partnership being developed between our organizations. So Cooper Creek Village, I'd like to introduce the owners right now, Bob and Cheryl Sinclair. Yeah, Bob, Cheryl, hello. Would you like to say hello? Hi.
Hello. Hi. So yeah, we're the owners for a short while now. It'll be selling soon. We're really excited about the project. Bob and I always wanted to build tiny homes, and it was a huge undertaking, and now we get to be part of something that's not only building tiny homes, but it's a whole bunch more. And we're totally investing in this. We're really, really excited about working with everybody. I've lived here all my life. Bob's been here 50 years, yeah. And you know what we really love about this area is our property joins the Cooper Village, and we can step out our door and go on any hiking trail. There's multitude of them. There's waterfall. There's, you know, we're nestled between Duncan Lake and Kootenay Lake. You know, a 10-minute drive either way, and you can be out in your kayak or canoe, whatever. Lots of other places like Fry Creek and Meadow Mountain, and well, the list goes on and on and on. Your post office box would be 5-minute walk away. There's a grad station, which, you know, a minute away. 5 minutes up the road, you've got a grocery store, postal, hardware, liquor store. There's a restaurant. If you're wanting to be close to big box office places and the airport, this isn't for you. But boy, if you want nature and to be part of what John Mark and the team are creating here, then boy, I think I'm really excited. I'm really want to meet everybody. We both do. And yeah, we're just raring to get this off and running and to be part of something that we think is really, really beautiful. So yeah, that's
super. Thanks, Cheryl. And yeah, I can't overstate how critical it is to have Bob and Cheryl. There are many older adults that own land these days, and they're pondering, oh, what to do? You know, do you pass it on? You hold on to it? What do you do? There's Bob and Cheryl that I met up with, and they had the same vision. It's just wonderful to have them as co-pilots in this mission, because it is a little challenging to kind of get this started. You can kind of see the video right now of the beautiful site right now. We've got the house that's kind of acting as a community center, and plenty of open clearing right there to kind of start the first phase of development. And Bob has carefully taken care of this wonderful facility for years. So it's just such a great inviting space. And yeah, you've seen some of the other video of the creek roaring by, which is where we'll talk about the hope to kind of start generating some power in the near future. And yeah, we'll talk more about that. So yeah, thanks so much for Bob and Cheryl, and yeah, we'll get on to housing now with Leaf. Leaf will dive into the housing and living options. Leaf is an entrepreneur and forest defender focused on the intersection of ethical business, vibrant community, and blockchain technology for a healthier and more abundant future. He was formerly part of the team of a large off-grid village in Rock Creek, BC. It's called Living the Off-Grid Dream. And yeah, Leaf, fantastic partner to have in this project, and more projects to come. Over to you, Leaf.
Yeah, howdy how. Thank you guys all so much for coming. So to talk briefly about the land and to start getting into a bit of what is on offer here. So the way that we're organizing ourselves is just, you know, the label that we're going to wrap around this legally is that it will be a corporation. It will be a co-ownership corporation. And so what we're distributing is our shares. We're essentially selling, after we purchase the land, we will be selling shares, and each set of shares will correspond to a member parcel on the land. So everyone's going to have the same size lot. It will be 0.2 of an acre. And to just imagine that real quick, I want everyone to close your eyes and imagine a tennis court. So 0.2 of an acre is about the size of a tennis court. I'm just kidding. It's 6 tennis courts. It's actually quite a bit of space. And that is sort of your home zone. That's where you'd be building your micro home, well, your small home of whatever kind on. And then if we do some quick math here, we're aiming to have around 15 individuals or couples buy into this thing with us. And so because the land is 28 acres, if we do some quick math, the vast majority will remain collectively governed by, you know, your fellow resident investors and yourself. So it's about 24 acres that you will also have access to and also be able to make decisions about, make proposals for how that land could and should be used. And so if it's something that, you find valuable, there's a, good chance that other people do too. You can make a proposal. And if you say you want to put up a greenhouse there, or there's a natural feature of the terrain that happens to lend itself particularly well to X, maybe you want to put up a sauna for your little like block of a few homes that are together that can be shared. That is totally on the table and supported, and kind of what this is all about. It's learning to get back to community a bit more, in learning how to, not just tolerate each other, but celebrate each other, and really love and deeply know and connect with and work with the people who will become not just neighbors, but really family members at the end of the day. We're trying to create a tight-knit community of people who really want to think differently about how we're doing not just housing, but also community. And before I get too far down a tangent here, to get back to the parcels and the homes themselves, so it's about a 0.2. You can build not just like a home on it. If you want to build a shop for your business, that's totally possible and supported as well. If you need whatever accessory dwelling, go for it, just as long as we're not like clear cutting the entire thing. Most of the land is currently forested and it's beautiful. So we're going to be trying to, nestle ourselves, aside from like the areas that have already been cleared. We're going to try and be nestling, the various sites kind of in with the natural terrain, just wherever, makes the most sense. We'll be working with permaculture designers to be surveying the land and getting, mapping that out appropriately. And then as far as options go, so we'll get into this a bit more later, and I'm sure folks will have questions, but we're basically pegging the member buy-in at 50K. You don't necessarily need to have that all up front, but if you do, you certainly also have the option to upgrade to one of the options that we have for home. So the top photo there, for example, comes from Bunky Life. These are just suggestions, by the way. We've had calls with them. They're great. These things the home itself will cost under 20K, and plus insulation is not even that much more. But people are living in these things all through the winter in Ontario. You can get a 200 square foot bunkie, not exactly that model, like bigger, for under 20K. So it's pretty epic. And if you're like a single person like myself, I've definitely lived in like a 10 by 10 1.5 floor cabin before, and I loved it. It was honestly some of the happiest I've been in my life. So if you're a single person, that could be a great option for you. There's also things like these inter-shelter domes. We're not going to make that decision for you, though. You could do, if you're into steel buildings, people are doing crazy things with light steel these days. And that's an option. Eventually, I hope we all have geoship domes, courtesy of Jean-Marc, because they do seem like the pinnacle human habitation solution. Or you can build your own. If you're big into carpentry, absolutely, just come and throw down, and we'll have other folks on the land, like Ryan, who's on this call, for example, who is, and Carlos. I don't know if Carlos actually made it. Carlos is a member on our team who built an amazing earth ship about half an hour outside of Nelson, and he's got a concept for a smaller one that he's looking to prototype here and hopefully replicate. So these are all options. And anyway, we're not trying to make that decision for you. It depends whether you're a single person, a couple, whether you've already got kids, you're planning to have kids. But as long as the home works with the natural environment, and we'd like to see sustainable material decisions prioritized, absolutely, wherever possible. But it's pretty up to you. We're setting that baseline at a 50K buy-in, and then like if you want to add a micro home of choice, there will be options. So you could come in at 100K and have a dwelling kind of set up and ready for when you get there. Yeah, that's pretty much the basics on that, I think, for now.
Yeah, super awesome, Leaf. Thanks so much for the info. And yeah, like Leaf said, I mean, we're still an open book here. We're going to make some really good suggestions on a type of housing that we think is worthy. And that type of housing is light. It's super affordable. It's easy to set up. We've got no shortage of local builders that can build you a custom bunkie if you'd like. It'll, you know, probably be a little bit more expensive, but you can use Bob's wonderful mill, and we can pump out with Bob's help. Of course, he just made a mansion chicken coop there recently. A wonderful home for yourself. And we've got no shortage of talent here in the Caslow and North Kootenay Lake area. Yeah, so I just kind of wanted that. And there's some questions here. Yeah, thanks. We'll kind of get to this in a little bit here. I just wanted to kind of recap what Leaf touched on. Our target investment range is the $50,000 to $100,000 at this juncture. You know, everything will change. It really does depend on every individual because everyone has a different financial ability. Everyone's got a different opportunity. Some people want to invest a lot more. So it just depends on how many people we settle on as we grow this group. We've said that we wanted a maximum of 20 units or families, which kind of gives everyone a plenty of space and fantastic affordability, plus a return on investment. We are going to make some revenue on this. By becoming a member, you can have access to this revenue sharing opportunities across multiple streams, which includes short-term rental income, food sales potentially, wellness programs. Everybody's doing that. North Kootenay Lake, if you didn't know, is kind of a haven for health and wellness. We have no shortage of retreats and wonderful facilities. So it's kind of a mecca at the moment for health and wellness. Yeah, this allows you to benefit from the success of our community while contributing to its vitality. As a member, you'll have the opportunity to collaborate in shaping the direction of the community. Again, your input and engagement contribute to our collective vision and goals. The shares provide you with a home, a lot, and access to food and nature within our regenerative community. So this is kind of an investment in lifestyle, first of all, that prioritizes affordability, environmental consciousness, and community engagement. So you become part of this community committed to regenerative living, holistic well-being. Now, not everybody is going to do a million things in this community. You can come in as an investor and resident and kind of pick one thing and that's it. You know, it's not necessarily super hands-on. We do have a core team, people that are going to work through the administration of this. It's just like, again, it's like a regular community. In a regular community, you have a council. That council is tasked with apparently listening to you. But because our communities are so large and they're using antiquated communication methods, they're not necessarily doing the best job. Now, in a much smaller community, so, you know, we're talking 20 families. There's every ability for us to make sure that we're getting the right thing out through the proper communication method. And that's verbally. We're also using technology. There's a great app made on Vancouver Island, which we absolutely love, called Revillager. And our friend Jasper's built it just for this, is just managing these kinds of communities. So again, finally, this technology is out there. Yes, internet and the property. There's great news here. So Caslow is super cool, if you didn't know, because it built its own internet system. It's got its own fiber internet network. I'm actually in the Kootenay Lake Innovation Center right now, downtown Caslow. And in the basement, we have a point of presence with a 10 gig line. And that 10 gig line has been strung all around North Kootenay Lake, underwater, under the lake, to other communities. And is now fiber connected to Cooper Creek and is coming to the door to the property this year. So at the moment, it's whatever you want. You can pick TELUS or you can pick Starlink, which Starlink is unbelievable, amazing, fast. But we're going to get fiber. So good news. Yeah, perfect. Yes. So we're aiming for micro hydro. In the process, we are in the process of doing applications for water rights. We've had professionals visit and check out our ability to build what's called a turbulent micro hydro system that serves as a primary energy source and support for our year-round greenhouse and vertical farming, which in the end won't necessarily require a lot of power if you know anything about passive solar greenhouses, but we can use a lot of power for other things. enabling this year-round food production regardless of weather or seasons. Right now we are on grid, and so this is a non-issue until the power goes out, which it does on occasion out here. It probably will continue to become a problem with the weather going up and down. Anyway, the generated power could be utilized for other things like spa facilities, health and wellness. There's even a potential to sell some of the surplus power. Anyway, this is in the works, and it's a powerful thing to be on Cooper Creek. Can't overstate this. This is an important thing for resilience. Food, phase 1 of our food program. Wood stoves possible, yes. Phase 1 of our food program is permaculture design coming this spring, followed by a food forest and outdoor gardens that will serve as the backbone of our food production efforts, providing a wide variety of fruit, vegetables, and other edible plants. By utilizing regenerative, low-maintenance practices, we aim to create a thriving ecosystem that can meet our dietary needs while regenerating the earth. And then phase 2 is passive solar greenhouses and vertical farms. In phase 2, we're exploring passive solar greenhouses with our partner Fifth World. If you know anything about this technology, you probably have heard Fifth World. They're pretty much the biggest and the best. Formerly Permaculture, a guy named Rob Avis, if anybody's into food. This guy is an amazing individual I've come to know in the past year, and his new organization is called Fifth World. We're exploring this kind of passive solar greenhouse and also other companies that do vertical farms. These technologies will allow us to grow year round, be completely resilient, supplying the bioregion, you name it. So here's a map, and kind of, again, basic, rudimentary, first one, type map, and you can kind of see the features here of hopefully that zooms in for you. Yeah, so you've got kind of our first phase, the main house here, food, second phase, third phase, some planting, that kind of deal, and a river runs through it. That goes out to the Kootenay Lake. Again, we're in between the Duncan and the Kootenay Lake, surrounded with crown land. Potential to expand. Bob and Cheryl have 50 acres next door. There's potential to lease crown land. If you heard anything from the federal government, they are finally making some more bold moves and allowing us to lease a lot more crown land for long periods of time. So things are changing. It's taken forever. Yeah, so that's in a nutshell. Again, all of this is on the website. You can go into gory detail. Those that are really interested in this, we can do a tour with Bob and Cheryl at any time. And yeah, let's jump to the next slide here. Other community development ideas include shared electric mobility, options that offer clean and affordable transportation solutions for residents and to travel around the area, health and wellness programs. What else do you want? Let us know. With the benefits of these shared resources, revenue sharing opportunities, and a thriving community, members have the freedom to explore your passions. So don't understate. And I need to explore the opportunity that when you move from $1 million house, which is trending to be the average these days, to $100,000 house, all of this capital that you have, all of this time that you have to now reinvest in the community, that is definitely our future ahead. I can tell you that with 100% certainty. Not just my company, but there's 100 other companies that have started that are making wonderful homes, and we are about to go through this wild time in the next 10 years where robots are making homes and robots are making robots making homes. And it's a breakthrough. They're wonderful tools that we've invented. And so at this moment, it's really helpful to kind of get started on these communities, get gelling as a group, and start working towards the betterment of society. In our current communities, we have a lot of issues. We have all sorts of aging infrastructure. If you know anything about municipal affairs, it's super expensive, like really expensive. It's rotting underground. All these buildings are our liability. So it's awesome to start from scratch and light and nimble and modern in a radically new way with a small group. So yeah, lots of good comments here in the chat. Just kind of go into our project plan here. I just want to make sure we leave a lot of time for Q&A. This is just a high-level project plan, April, May, June, August, September, December. So we're hoping to finalize our founding members and really get started into work. In June, August is continue to build and grow and start documenting this. This is definitely an open source movement. We really want to showcase this to many more people so they can do the same thing everybody wants to do it. Refining this business model, and then, in the fall, accommodate new residents, more community gatherings, and then planning for 2025 and onwards. That's generally our schedule at the moment. So great, we have 20 minutes here for QA, which is wonderful. Yeah, just a side note, we're also part of the Kootenay Resilience Festival. I've been doing this great music series in Goslow for about 3 years. We've done about 40 shows, and this year we're like, okay, let's time to pivot. And we are now the Kootenay Resilience Festival to create an environment where artists and experts, business leaders, and community members can share information on ideas focused on bettering the core pillars of community well-being: housing, food, energy, transportation, technology. Sounds familiar? Yeah, so that's the Resilience Festival. It's kind of like an impact festival. And if you know anything about that, it's really becoming a big thing around the world, not just like go to Shambhala, get rocked out. It's like, let's have a good time and discuss some serious issues. Bring this to software, which we're developing at the Kootenay Lake Innovation Center, and exploring in a deeper way rather than just letting the politicians or interest groups have at her, right? So we're just trying to open source this whole movement. So stay tuned for the Kootenay Resilience Festival. And yeah, Lee can put the links in the chat around the Cooper, and also to meet us one-on-one, futurevillages.ca/join. We can meet up with you, but like over to the chat. And Lee, if you wanted to pick out if anybody, dog friendly, yes, I'll just kind of randomly pick out questions here. But if you felt like speaking at any point, just unmute yourself and have at her. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a question.
Sure.
About water. How's the water source and we had a piece of off-grid land years ago that water was a problem.
Yeah, it is not a problem. Actually, Bob, Cheryl, you can respond to that.
Okay, on the property, well, Cooper Creek is amazing water. I'm drinking it right now. It's tastes wonderful. There's well water also on the property. Yeah, there's water is not an issue at all.
Thank you.
When Cooper Creek is dry, the world will be in bad shape.
It won't dry.
It's glacier fed, so it's going to last as long as any other water.
Yeah, and we haven't gone all the way to the glaciers, but I intend to. We've drawn a map. It's actually a series of glaciers that feed into Cooper Creek. It's not just one. I lived in an area called the Blueberry years ago, and it was primarily feeding off one that was, you can see the river going down. That's not the case with Cooper Creek, so we're fortunate there. I'll just continue to pick out questions here, Leaf, if you want to help me out. But could I live in a tiny home and rent another out as an Airbnb? Yes. So that's what the corporation is set up for. We definitely, as a corporation, hey, we're all a family. We're going to be investing in this one business. We want to invest in the business and produce more of these micro homes, some that are for short-term rental. But yeah, it's kind of an open book. If the group decides that we want more as short-term rentals sooner to make more revenue faster, to afford more homes for more people, that makes sense, right? So yes to that. What's the difference between a 50K and 100K investment? Leaf got that question. Thank you. but service to each home is an issue. Who puts that in? That's all part of the infrastructure program. We've got amazing professionals here locally, electricians and plumbers. They're going to work on it. We've got the validated team for all infrastructure needs you can think of. But we are definitely, if anybody's an expert in anything, we're ready to accept you. I work for Fifth World. Awesome. Can keep owners, chickens. Yes. I currently raise pigs, but use their leg. That's awesome. Nick, fantastic. Yes, the new short-term rental rules don't apply. Yeah, yeah. I mean, we're going to be limited on the rules up in Cooper Creek. There are going to be some rules, and you know, I think they're evolving in most regional districts. And but yeah, no, they don't apply. What so the taxes are regular fees to member. Okay, so yeah, so that is the regular fees. It's more like, it's kind of like a condo fee. Don't call it that. It's like, we call it a community fund, but it's like a monthly fee that's going to go into infrastructure. We're still trying to figure out what that number is. Again, it depends on the number of people. But again, nobody's going to be priced out of this. It's not going to be some ridiculous amount. And it is going into infrastructure that you own with a small group. And that is not just infrastructure that's keeping your lifestyle afloat, it's actually making you money. So it's like, again, like a business and real estate smashed together. So you're going to put a little bit more money into your community fund. It goes back into the business. And then next thing you know, your dividends pay out, right? That's the way business works. So don't get scared about it. It's something that we're all going to agree on. Yes. Anybody else want to chime in verbally and state their question?
Well, let me chime in for a second here. So
Sure.
just to like put a little more context around this for folks, like where we're at in the pipeline right now is we're hopefully within like a month away of closing the deal for the land. And that's kind of the big, that's the big one. And then with the first few members, they'll be responsible for, all pooling money towards making the mortgage payments. And that's like the more immediate need. That's really stage one. Stage two is once we start, people start actually living there. Stage one is pretty volatile. It can change. It will depend on people's situation as they're actually moving to the land. Some folks will have to sell their home, and that will take, some months. Some people will have commitments that will keep them in a place like finishing your kid's school for another year, 2 years, whatever. But the whole way that this shakes out is collaborative with you as a voting, contributing member who can make these proposals and actively take a role in shaping the community that you want to live in. So a lot of these questions, we are simply not far. Well, actually, these questions have been pretty good so far, but questions about governance, for example, like we are so not at that stage of the process yet that it's barely something that we've talked about. We see it as an opportunity for experimentation. We're going to use, look at best practices from, our other folks that we know in the regen space that are already working on this. It could easily turn into using, even blockchain-based tools for voting, having a sweet mobile app to make it efficient. But that's just as an example, is like we are so not there yet. We are trying to get our first few folks onto the land, and what you want to live in is a little more variable now before we have more like preset packages ready. We would like to have some turnkey options for homes that are already built that we'd just be renting, say for Airbnb, until folks are ready to actually purchase that and move in. But at these early stages, it is very collaborative. After this call, we're going to invite you guys to fill out the form with a little bit of information about yourself, do an interview with Jean-Marc or myself, and basically throw you into our weekly calls so that we can all start, figuring out these details together. So we'll share, we can share more in depth about say on our call next week, we can share more in depth about what our co-ownership agreement draft is looking like so far, and how we're going to get that legalized and all of that. But yeah, that's the ultimate idea. We're not trying to move forward without you. Like everyone gets to play a role in shaping how this happens.
Yeah. And we are like, Leaf mentioned, we are early stage, but we have gone through the motions, many months, in fact, of diving into a co-ownership agreement, which has a lot of the answers to the questions that you're asking right now. Again, it's still in draft format, but the beautiful thing about working with both CoBC and ChatGPT is that we have kind of the world of resources around us to kind of tap into that knowledge. Because yeah, it used to be scary. I'm not gonna lie. Like this 2015 or even 2018. We were kind of shooting by the hip, and I had no idea how to do a co-ownership agreement. Now it's actually super common, and there are thousands of these communities. I deal with my business, I deal with hundreds, but there are thousands, and it's awesome. We're kind of working as this global tribe of regenerative communities, and Kumbaya later, we're going to digitize this entire thing and make it a lot easier. So yeah, the option is to shape it, but not get scared of this process, especially with the typical governance questions which people fuss about in light of the failures of some intentional communities and communes. And these communities were largely unstructured and definitely not legal. This is very legal, very structured, and well organized, dipping into the world of resources that we have around us. So yeah, different thing. Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, financing options. So yeah, financing, you can credit. Most people can actually get $50,000 loan with a bank. So highly recommend going to your bank and exploring those options. Other financing options that we're looking at, we're partnered with the Kootenay Lake Innovation Center. It's a not-for-profit. And so in partnership, we are definitely writing grants. I just this year wrote $2 million grants. We'll see what happens, of course. But as we get more and more people on board and this develops further, we're going to be able to have some success in getting some grants for this type of opportunity. There's also private investors or private capital. Once we start building, we're going to tap into the wealth of private lenders out there, and not just like greedy money managers. We're talking about ordinary accredited and local individuals that would like to supply you with some financing. So that's very much opportunity for now. Yeah, we have to use the bank. It sucks. Believe me, I hate them as much. Sorry to all the banking professionals out there, but I worked for 10 years in equity crowdfunding. If anybody knows about that, it's something that we could be using as well. Yeah. Any other financing questions? Any other questions? Yeah.
We kind of had a question about the zoning, so that's worth touching on. So
sure,
we don't have zoning on the land, which is amazing. So theoretically, folks can build whatever they want as long as it's to code and technically permitted. This is another thing that we discuss. It depends what stage of the process that we're kind of at. We might initially go just get the first folks on there without permits, because we are really far out there. It's generally the culture in the area to not bother pulling permits because everyone's on big lots and you're in the middle of nowhere. So it's one of the best places to be, to have that kind of freedom. But later on down the road, we might want to, we'll still build a code just because that's a smart thing to do wherever possible, unless it's like an earthship where there is no code. But yeah, we might eventually go down the permit route, but it depends on, depends on the folks and how everything shakes out and the timelines and all that.
Yeah, and again, it's different 2 years after the pandemic. I don't know how many years, but yeah, there's such an urgent need for this. Certainly it's all about partnerships, and we definitely intend to kind of partner with a variety of organizations, including being legit with the Housing Society. I'm in touch with the local Housing Society. We're going to take a good look at this and be supportive of a lot of the challenges, because yeah, there'll be challenges, but that's what we have to get through, and we can do that with support from community, regional, and provincial organizations. BC Housing is behind this. I've had an Alberta housing group yesterday reach out to me. They're brand new. and they want to get to know all about co-ownership, and they want to parade this to the federal government. So I do know we're going to have challenges. I'm not personally, and our team isn't frightened by it. And I think we're going to have a lot of support. Hal and Vita, you raised your hands. Did you guys want to say something?
Yeah, thanks. And
Yo,
maybe
Hal.
I maybe I missed this, but I was curious about septic.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. So there's a variety of things we could be doing, but basically, what we do, like traditionally, it's kind of a waste to resource recovery system that we're using. So we're using leaching fields in some areas, and then other areas we may actually build full septic systems. But we're going to experiment with these two products. For example, that's typically what's done in the Kootenays, right? So you either kind of filter it through the land naturally, or you use a waste to recovery system. And there's a lot out there that you can use to kind of recover a lot of the liquids and waste to be reused. You could be using it for all sorts of fertilizer. And then your standard septic system, right? There's three different ways, really.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and if anybody knows about Hal and Vita, they live in Sandon, and they operate a wonderful facility there. The town of Sandon, you guys operate basically Canada's longest running machine is a beautiful micro hydro facility that Hal's taken care of for years and years. And yeah, it's a powerful force for the region. We're in huge support of Sandon and all the work you're doing there. Awesome. We got some more questions here.
We had a question that maybe would go to Bob and Cheryl. Do we know anything about mineral rights?
We know there's a claim close to us, but I don't know the particulars about it. But as far as, are you referring to just the local area around, like adjacent to the land, Leif?
Well, I think the question is about the property itself. I don't know why that's relevant, though. I don't know if how many of us are intending on mining the land.
So you're asking, is there mineral rights? Does someone have mineral rights on it?
I guess, are there any external mineral rights, or like, do we as property owners, will we have exclusive mineral rights?
Yeah, I actually don't have an answer for that.
Yeah,
Cool.
I don't know. It's something to explore for sure. There's a lot of people that are coming in, and amateur miners. There's some big time mining, like anywhere else. You have people coming in to explore the geography with brand new technology. But yeah, hey, if you are interested in mining rights, mineral rights, have at or come and get involved. Got a little working group in Caslow that's on top of this.
Actually, another question
Yeah.
for Bob and Cheryl too,
Sure.
about fires. I think you guys would know best about just the region, the history of forest fires there.
The question is history of forest fires. Yeah, there's always forest fires. The last few years have been really good for not being really close. I mean, it's like anywhere else. You can't predict whether or not there's going to be a fire. I mean,
Yeah, and the question,
it's the way of nature.
That's right. And the question really is, what about fires and all those trees? So, Bob has actually taken care of the forest very well. He's been pruning and tailoring the trees for years. But definitely we're going to bring in some experience. First of all, like we mentioned, permaculture designer. Second of all, our Fire Smart team. We have actually a really great group here in North Kootenay Lake, a Fire Smart team that's going to come in and make sure that we're doing an even better job at creating a buffer around the living zones. Yeah, there is definitely a start of the plan for most areas in the Kootenays. We're blessed with some really good Fire Smart teams, and that is supplied by the regional district. But we're going to get our hands dirty and make sure that we're properly pruning the forest. And yeah, and addressing any sort of other innovation. Yeah, I know wonderful entrepreneurs out of Montreal that have produced an all natural fire retardant. You literally just spray it on your structure. It's all natural. You spray it on the trees, you spray it on the grass, and it makes it fire retardant. It's an amazing thing that just has come on market the past few years, but the government hasn't approved it yet. So a lot of great technology coming out there. Of course, hydrating the entire area. We've got a big river. We could be watering a little bit more than the average person does. So yeah, definitely to start the plan. We're all really concerned about fire, and so we'll make sure that we address that. I just want to also say one thing about the septic system. Yeah, somebody said of course, we're going to have composting toilets. But I'm just talking about the wastewater and how we're going to treat that. And so there's a few different systems that we could be using to treat the regular wastewater. But the idea is definitely to go light, and yeah. Super. Okay. Yeah, we're just approaching here the top of the hour, so it's about done. If anybody else has another great question, wants to chime in and say hello, goodbye.
I think we still
Yeah.
have a few active questions. So if folks have to
yeah.
go, you can always watch the recording. And if
Sure.
not, we'll just keep crushing our way through these.
I have a question.
Sure.
What's the next step if we're interested in pursuing this?
Yeah, so there, I believe we'll post again a link to the form. So complete the form. It takes like literally a few seconds, and then you'll get in touch with us. We'll set up a one-to-one meeting, and then we'll diagnose exactly how we can be working with you. It's as simple as that. It's yeah, we're accepting these resident investors at the moment, and we're looking for these first members to kind of move on to the property, and that's it.
Well, and with that, it's like, you meet everyone else, you get familiar with everyone on the group calls, you decide whether these are people that you actually want to, start building a life with. So far, the answer has been a resounding yes, because everyone has been amazing, some really like holistically minded people who really want to think about the way that we're organizing ourselves and how we're coming together as a community, and like even, some of the bringing in like spiritual values into everything that we do. A lot of folks who are really interested in permaculture. So it's the vibe is high thus far. I'll say that.
Yeah, and the vibe is high. And you know what? It is just, again, I can't overstate. We're trying to make this easy. There was a lot of detail in this presentation, but if you're a good person, which you all are, and you come with a set of abilities to kind of get involved a little bit, it's as simple as that. We're really trying to do this holistically with great people. And so you're going to meet everyone here virtually, and you can get together in person. And
come
yeah,
to visit the land. You can basically, if you're interested, you can basically come and visit the land anytime. We can, still fill out the form, and but Bob and Cheryl live right next door, so they're happy to do showings anytime and tell you about it. And hopefully next month we'll have we'll probably have a group get together on the land too for everyone who's currently involved.
So Leith, Bob had a comment to do with the fires.
I think the setting that we're in here, we have a great opportunity to set up a preventative system for forest fires on site, so that the equipment could be placed appropriately to have a couple caches of fire equipment that's ready to go. So when we know there's a fire close by, we can be monitoring things a lot more and make sure, testing machinery and everything to make sure everything's running. So as long as everybody's into it, we can be ahead of the game, talking about different scenarios, evacuation. And again, that's what we want to make it as a group. Preferably, something that's proactive, so that we're ahead of the game.
yes. Thanks so much. Yes, and And we're Leaf and I are planning to live there. I live in the neighborhood. I live in Caslow, and I'm going to be making my regular pilgrimage up the Cooper Creek. And Leaf as well. He lives on Vancouver Island. But I'm excited for you guys all to meet some of the other resident investors. They're all just wonderful people. Like,
Well,
honestly,
currently-
couldn't have expected. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I totally cut you
But
off. No, I do intend to live there. Yeah, absolutely. It might take me a little while to get over there, but yeah, no, my intention is absolutely to be a part of all this.
yeah.
So we
What if you
could
wanted to sell? Great
invest
question.
and come later? Is that the
Yeah, definitely.
general?
For sure.
Yeah, and it's like, again, it's like a regular community. It's not like some of the intentional communities where they went wrong, I believe, and this is again the experience from other regenerative communities around the world, is that people got really stuck on the land. You know, you just jam yourself in an intentional community in a slow can and you get obsessive about your piece of dirt. It you know, leads to some issues. So you gotta have a regular community. It's a regular community. You got a big bunch of people that are living there full time, and then some people that are living there part time. And you know, we're not going to have a ghost community, that is for certain. Like, there are a lot of resort communities out there in the mountain regions that are like pretty brutal, and that's why we've had a lot of changes. The government's made a lot of changes to short-term rental. So yeah, it's finding that perfect balance, and we could do that a lot easier with a small group.
Thank you.
Saying hi.
Right.
My question is, so you said that you're gonna buy it together with the investors and then apply for it to be split into the shares?
Yeah, you don't necessarily have to apply anything, right? So the one person or a group of people are going on title and buying it from Bob and Cheryl. Bob and Cheryl are reinvesting some of the proceeds back into this newly formed corporation, and the corporation then issues shares. Everyone becomes shareholders depending on how much they invest in, just like a normal business, and we all own the entire asset, including the infrastructure, together under the corporation. The corporation and the co-ownership agreement sits on top of everything.
Okay. And so can you find this information on that
Co-ownership?
Is it cohobc.com?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they have a guide there. You know, we're doing a bit of a custom version of what they typically do. CoBC typically does co-ownership of multi-unit dwellings in Vancouver. We're doing land and micro modular homes. So it's a bit of a shift, but the same things apply. It's a co-ownership agreement.
Is it possible that they wouldn't approve it to have shared ownership?
Sorry?
Is it possible they wouldn't approve it to have it like shared to
There's
split?
nothing, nobody's ever going to say this. Yeah, we're the master of our own domain. It would have to be one of us. So if Bob and Cheryl say, we're partners in this, we don't want this corporation to form, then it wouldn't happen. But we're all in it to build a corporation. So yeah, there's nobody saying no.
Like
There's
applying?
no authority that's going to come and say it.
Okay. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I don't really understand. I'm
No
excited.
worries. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, it's something new to most people, but actually it gets done. And Noam, if he was here, he'd explain it. It gets done a lot. So you've got groups of investors who buy rental units. They're actually doing it as a co-ownership agreement. So wealthy group, typically accredited investors, will band together and they go out and buy property, which is a lot of property in Canada. And they go out and buy tons of property and use them as rental units. So they're entering in a co-ownership agreement too. It's the same thing, or a condo or a strata, it's the same thing. Those are co-ownership structures. So we're just choosing a corporation as a method. Some people would love to have a co-op, which is entirely doable too. It's just a little bit more flexible as a corporation. And we can still do, in partnership with the not-for-profit here in Caslow, we can still do a lot of grant applications through it. So the corporation allows more flexibility.
You still
Yeah.
you for that information. Thank you.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah, good question here about like exiting and selling shares.
Yes.
So one thing on that is like we do want to try and keep, at least, you know, thus far, I don't speak for the group because the group is still forming, but what the existing core group right now is discussed. It's like we want to try and live with, you know, heart-centered people as much as possible. We don't really want to sell parcels in like what we're intending to be a pretty tight community to just like any old person who like really doesn't fit the vibe and is like, you know, living some kind of like self-destructive lifestyle in like their trailer and like, you know, whatever that looks like. So that's probably the only stipulation on it as far as like who you could sell to. And but yeah, as far as like how much you would sell it for, I think it probably will be determined by the individual you know, parcel owner, and it'll depend on what upgrades like you have made to your parcel. In general, like I don't know, we might have guidelines around what seems reasonable as the value of the land increases, but that is ultimately part of what makes this exciting is because, you know, there currently the land is mostly bare aside from the existing house, you know, slash community center. But as soon as we start, especially we get some micro hydro in there, we get some local food production, we get some like saunas and like hydrotherapy, you know, whatever else we want to do. If we want to do a little school for homeschooling stuff, the value of that just skyrockets. So there's no way that you're going to be selling for less than you're buying in for. If anything, it'll probably be double in, you know, just after the first couple of years here, once, you know, we really start getting rolling with the infrastructure.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, and again, we're making ongoing revenue and this investment in an entity that is growing in wealth. Yeah, so it's like, yeah, it's like a strata approach plus individual efforts. Exactly. It's very similar to a strata approach. Regular shared meals for sure. I mean, we lie. Anybody else live in the North Kootenay Lake region? I know pretty much every Kootenay community does potlucks, and that's definitely our ball game.
Question for you.
Yeah, hey, how?
It's along the lines of just forethought into potential issues of speculation, and whether there's, you know, any thoughts on how to kind of keep tabs on that, because a lot of initiatives have died in the process of, you know, of somebody grabbing up a big chunk of it and then basically doing nothing except hanging out there to make a bundle on it by reselling. And so I don't know, I just it's just kind of a off the cuff thought here, but what have you considered that?
Yeah, this is like what you bring up, Hal, is, I mean, I had several conversations today with other communities who, you know, are constantly at the whim of a large owner in their community. Like, honestly, if you know anything about our communities, most of them have one large owner. Like, they may own up to 35% of the actual town, and they're not doing anything about it. It's a big issue in municipalities and small towns. And that's the different thing with this kind of structure, because our council is you're joining it, and we get to make up these rules and make sure that this doesn't happen. That you're not going to have some wealthy individual rock in and acquire half the community and have their way. I mean, there's all sorts of, you know, different communities around the world. If you know anything about what the billionaires are doing, they're going up and buying huge chunks of land and trying to build their smart cities. So they're major owners, but they're intending to try and change the game with governance in these communities. So it's going to be exciting to see how that pans out as one owner trying to make a a wonderful new approach to governance of a maybe million-person community. But in a community of 20 units, it's a lot easier. So yeah, we definitely lean on the expertise of other regenerative communities to make sure that one guy doesn't rule it all. But yeah, good question. Good
And one
question.
more thought on that too. We have talked about this, and our intention is to, if we could have everyone be a resident investor and not take outside capital, or like if we do, it's only for like an infrastructure phase for some of the major like shared stuff that doesn't result in like maybe it's a loan that we take collectively, then fantastic. But we're hoping that for the most part, the folks who are buying in do intend to live there full time for at least like half the year, if not more, if not properly full time. So yeah, we're going to try and prioritize that as much as possible.
Yeah. Again, it is a living and breathing community. It's going to be dynamic, I think much more dynamic than your standard community format, which is literally a plugged in version from the province. If you know anything about municipalities and regional districts, there are rules that have not changed for decades, and that's why we're up Schitt's Creek. So we are a much more dynamic group, and we're plugged in again to all of these thousands of other global communities that are becoming more nimble, using not just technology, but new ways of engagement. So yeah.
Yeah, in other words, are all owners meeting each other pre-purchase, or are we picking? So we're sort of like we're just kind of funneling people into the wider group chat with everyone else who's interested so far. There's like a spectrum of people who are fully committed versus like just checking it out. But the intention is, yeah, we're not, we want the core group to be really solid and to like each other. So yeah, we definitely we're meeting every week and working things out in the weekly calls, and lots of folks are planning to come up and visit as soon as possible, and we're going to try and have a weekend for that.
Yes.
I think you're off this. Why don't they want here?
Here.
And then we had another question about shared costs. So we definitely have talked about that, about everyone contributing into a slush fund long term, and it's I would say it's likely, but because just the nature of the beast is so variable, like if we did find like some patient debt capital who just like really love the vibe of the property and the project, and they want to support it with some capital to help us get the funding in to like build greenhouses, build like a gym and like a co-working space, and like anything else that we need that's going to cost a bit of money, or even just like running all the, if folks want grid power, it's nice that we have that as an option, then like running power, running water to all the sites, like, so there are like real infrastructural costs, and it's going to be hard to know all of those in advance. We're trying to compensate for the basics of running water and power to every site with the opening 50K that basically gets you the land. But beyond that, it's like anything in this project. We're going to see, we're going to cross that bridge when we come to it. And that's why we're trying to prioritize people who who's thinking that we like and that we actually want to work with and live with and feel like safe and secure doing that. So yeah, it comes down to what we need at the time and what we agree to as a group.
Awesome.
Potlucks and work parties, 100%.
Definitely. Yeah. And also post, go ahead.
Hi. So yeah, I think getting like a survey if people are okay with taxes from the beginning would be a good thing to do. Like, where is your mindset on that? Somewhere in the middle. Like, because not everyone's gonna want a gym, right? So that's gonna be hard to like feel like there could be issues with that, but obviously it's like as we go, that's like anything new and exciting. I also am curious, like how many people are 100% in and how many more are needed to like make the final purchase? Like how close is everything? What is the mortgage going to be? And also, sorry, just my one question about like wild animals and like having fruit and livestock. Like, how are we going to keep bears away? Grizzly bears, I'm scared of grizzly bears.
Really good question. Yeah, like we're so fortunate to have like unbelievable, first of all, farmers that have been around for decades and brand new, like relatively new in the past few decades, permaculture designers. So there is a ton of property owners in the region that I personally know for years, Bob and Cheryl know locally, who work with food and wildlife. So we're not claiming to be experts, but we know the experts. I went to go visit personally. I'd love for you guys to come visit this amazing permaculture farm, like right next to Caslow. And what once was a dump, like literally a dump, is now a permaculture oasis in 10 years. It's a food forest and a farm, and it's just teeming with wildlife and all sorts of species that you just don't find anywhere else. Like literally next door is a totally different ecosystem than this permaculture farm. It's crazy. So yeah, I definitely have a plan in place. He has big dogs. I mean, a lot of people have big dogs.
Right, yeah. Okay.
And Bob and Cheryl are amazing at erecting huge fences. Cheryl, you can speak to your monster fences.
Yeah, we have if you're wanting to have protection, so you have fruit trees and gardens, there's a bearware program, so they will supply you with the electric fence. You only have to pay 50% of the cost. And that's what we have around our orchard and garden. And our chicken coop is inside that. And if anyone wants to come up and see what we've done, that's great. It keeps the bears out of our garden orchard. So yeah.
Oh,
There is definitely grizzly bears around in the summer for a short period. But they're transient and they just wander off as fast as they wander in. But if you don't have any garbage or any reason for them to come to your property, then they're not going to be around at all.
Yeah.
And in the early September, when the redfish run, they're all in Meadow Creek, a community about 6 kilometers away, because that's where the majority of the food that they need to fatten up for the winter, between there and the Lardo River. So they're usually not around the community. And if they become a threat at all, then you contact the game warden and they'll come and trap them, because they don't want confrontations also. But the best is just do your preventative maintenance and they won't stick around.
yeah, I definitely feel more like safe and confident going into a community with other people. Like, I've been looking at stuff for myself and I'm like, oh, I don't want to be alone in the woods. I want to have other people who I can be like, Ben, if someone else will help me. Like, it's like, I mean, I'll try not react like that. Hopefully I've had a bad bear experience. So I'm just like, wild animals, I mean, we're completely defenseless against them. They got like claws and yeah. So yeah, but this is really exciting. I'm probably too excited. So I'll probably just have to wait.
Awesome.
But I'll
Well,
get
really,
settled on in. But yeah, I've got some money and I'm really eager for this. Like, I feel like this is like my life path. I'm excited.
great. Really great to meet you, Celine, and looking forward to meeting you one-to-one. Yeah, we're excited too. It's definitely the right time. I can't overstate that. And Cooper Creek is definitely the right location. And there's a few people on the call that live up there, live in the area. It's really the jewel. I call it the jewel of the Kootenays for sure. And they call Castle Little Switzerland of Canada, but it's actually up there in North Kootenay Lake in Meadow Creek, Cooper Creek area. That's where I'm half Swiss. I just like really feel like it's just stunning. But there are a lot of really great people that have lived there for quite some time. Argenta, There's some peeps here on the call from Argenta. Respect. And yeah, let's get through the other questions. Any other questions for people?
Showing them.
Sweet.
Cool. Well, we can close it off for now. I think that was awesome. Great session. Thanks, Leaf. Thanks, Bob and Cheryl. Gnome. Gnome's traveling at the moment, so he'll come at the next one. Yeah, please sign up on the forum. Please take a look at the website. Please share it with your friends and family. Thank you for having an open mind on this, and being part of our journey. It's really valuable to have you involved and to have this support network. So yes, thank you very much. And yes, I got that. And you can email me or contact me through the join form.
So,
Right on.
Mark, we
Yeah,
just
go
have
ahead.
a question. Oh,
Sure.
I guess we're losing. We're just wondering where some of the people are from.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, it seems like a lot of people here. We're just opened up the conversation, and it seemed like a lot from Alberta and Kootenays and the Okanagan. Anybody else wants to say
I'm
hi?
from Port
Bye?
Moody.
Port Moody, yeah. Vancouver, Edmonton,
North
North
Van.
Vancouver, Salmon Arm,
Nice, thank you.
Vanderhoof. Great. And second question is, have you been to Cooper Creek? And if not, when do you want to come visit? We'll have a good event here soon. Yeah, come to the Kootenay Resilience Fest. I will meet you there for sure. It's once a month, June, July, August, September. But we're ready to meet you as soon as you want to. It's beautiful out here now. Things are blooming. How's your garden looking, Cheryl? Things coming up?
Oh, it's coming along good, but the building this new mansion of a chicken coop is sort of taking all our time right now. But things are coming up, and yeah, just enjoying it.
Yeah, perfect time to come visit. You know, hopefully we get some rain. And yeah, a lot of people have not been up there, so we're excited to kind of have you come check
So
it out.
how does one get there from the lower mainland? You said you're not close to airports, so I didn't anticipate that, but what is the closest airport if you want to drive from there?
Yeah, like I recommend flying. You can fly into Trail or Castlegar, but you can also drive. Leaf's done the drive a few times, and it's a long one. It's beautiful, and if you pick a good day, you can make it totally fine. Just don't drive on a holiday, right?
Yeah.
How long does it take you to leave from your neck of the woods?
It's about 9 hours from Vancouver.
9 hours from Vancouver? That's actually not too bad, but
There you go.
if one wanted to get there and back in a weekend, I would say flying would be better.
For sure.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
yeah.
you're like 18 hours of your weekend are driving.
We're all going to be flying soon. Trust me. I had a career in transportation before getting into housing.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I built a little website that you may know about. It's called westjet.com. And now we're about to go forward with electric. Like your electric vehicle is going to be flying.
Yeah.
You're going to see the first one in less than 2 years.
Actually, that reminds me, what about vehicle chargers? I just have a little
vehicle
Prius
chargers.
Prime right now, but
Oh,
that
that's
would
awesome.
be an awesome choice as well.
Yeah, definitely chargers on location. Charging infrastructure is all over the place here in the Kootenays.
Beauty.
And yeah, absolutely. It's a good thing. But yeah, we have a small airport in Caslo. It's super functional. Got a heli ski operation out of there and many aircraft, but it's small and it'll grow over time, just like anything. All these small airports are going to change with electric flying vehicles. Yes. Awesome.
Thank you.
Okay, super, everyone. Well, thank you so much for attending. Really appreciate it. And yeah, stay tuned for more. Please join us again. Come meet us one-to-one. come visit us. And yeah, don't sit in the background. We need your support. We'd love to see you. And bye for now.